I'm going to show you how to make some bad coffee. What is up everyone, it's Mitch here once again, and like the title says, we're going to make some bad coffee using a bottomless portafilter. Traditionally machines will come with a spouted portafilter, group handle, you can call it whatever you want. But I'm going to show you why using a bottomless portafilter, that's that without that in there, so it's naked. It is a lot more than just something to make your Instagram shots look good. It is a fantastic training tool on how to tamp. And how to track some of the issues you may be finding with your espresso. Let's get into it. I'm going to move some cameras around. I've got a close-up cam down here to show you guys right underneath. We're getting close, we're getting naked. It's going to be a party. For the sake of the experiment, I am going to be dosing at 22 grams on the dot. I am just using an old blend that I've had sitting in the freezer, so probably not going to taste very good regardless of what I do to it. But I've got a few cups here, as you can see. I don't know if you can read them, but I've got 22 grams ground too coarse, 22 grams ground too fine. Then I've got a 23.5 grams on the correct grind setting, which is dosed too high, and then 18 grams on the correct dose setting, which is dosed too low for the recipe we're making today. And then I've got a few 22 grams ground correctly, which is what our recipe is. But I'm going to do some manual mistakes myself. And then I can really show you what's coming out of the bottom of that naked portafilter and show you the importance of using one. I'm going to get stuck into it, and I'm probably going to have to drink a lot of coffee that doesn't taste very good for the sake of the experiment. But that's what I do for you guys. So I'm going to get stuck into it. I'm not looking forward to drinking these things, but it's what I do. Let's do it. I've got my dosing cup loaded with the 22 grams of coffee that is ground too coarse, and let's show you exactly what that's going to do to our coffee. So I will tamp all of these the same way. I will distribute all of them the same way, just for the sake of the recipe. And you will see what this does. I will be measuring my yields, and I'm aiming for 40 grams out. So let's see how that goes. You can see how quick that's pouring on the little close-up cam. It's not, horrible. That's pretty horrible. So 40 grams in 15.9 seconds. That is not going to be very tasty. That came out way too fast. It's going to be a very sour coffee. And I'm using a Cruise espresso glass, so I don't have to stir. Pretty cool. It's actually got these little fins inside the cup, but we're not talking about those today. Oh, that is horrible. All right. Oh, so yeah, 40 grams out in a very short amount of time. That is disgusting. All right, next up is going to be the too fine. Okay, so that was horrible. That was not enjoyable by any means. Let's go to 22 grams of coffee too fine. And distribute the same way. Tamp the same amount. Oh god, this is going to be bad. Now I've already done a back flush in the machine. Again, we're going to aim for 40 grams out. And if you look closely, we are at 7, 8. Coffee's not even coming out yet. So this is not going to be drinkable. It won't even get anything into the cup. That is clearly too fine. I'm not going to keep pushing for the shot because that's going to be horrible and probably do some damage to the machine if you're sitting at 9 bar for a minute trying to get a bad tasting coffee out. So that's a great example as coffee that is too fine. There is this, I've obviously gone to the extremes for the sake of the experiment, but you know, in my recipe, by about 8 seconds, you know, between 6 and 8 seconds, I'll start seeing coffee come through the portafilter, through the basket, I'm sorry. But that's 12 seconds, whatever the hell that was, and didn't even get coffee coming through. So that is undrinkable, that is unservable. Let's not do that. And now let's move on to 23.5 grams, which is a high dose for our recipe. Okay, so after the 22 grams being disgusting, we're going to move to 23.5 grams, which is a high dose for our recipe. So we're aiming for 22 grams, but we've gone to 23.5 just for the experiment. Now, I don't even know if this will work, as in will it fit into the group head. Yeah, it'll fit. Now, I'm expecting similar results to the 22 grams too fine. Maybe not quite as exaggerated, but let's see. So again, aiming for 40 grams out. Let's see how long it takes. Okay, so if you can see on the close-up cam, it is dripping quite slow, simply because there's just too much coffee for that water to go through. So we've only got 2 grams of coffee out in 17 seconds. And it will speed up once it sort of breaks that line and finds the easiest way through the coffee, which is all channeling. So you're not going to get a great flavour, but we're already at 30 seconds and we only have 12 grams out. Let's see how long it takes to get 40 grams out. Wow. Alright, so 40 grams out in 48.1 seconds. Again, this is not going to be an enjoyable coffee. But it won't probably be better than the 2 course. I have had some over extracted coffees that still tasted reasonable. Oh, nah. Look, it's not horrible. It's not great. Put milk in it, maybe you could get away with it, but just don't. Oh no, it's pretty rough. Alright, let's move on to the next one. Okay, so after that experience, we're going to go the opposite direction again of 18 grams, which is a low dose for our recipe. And I'm expecting similar results to the coffee that was 2 course. Maybe not quite as exaggerated again. I actually can't tamp that. The tamp's not deep enough. Wow. Okay. This might be bad. It's probably going to be. It might look. It's probably going to be the best out of all of them so far, or the most palatable, I guess. Potentially. So on the close up. Yeah, it's still pretty quick. It's pretty quick. Not horrible. No, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. So 40 grams out in 21.4 seconds. So yeah, like I said, it is the closest to a drinkable coffee. It's still not great. We actually ended up with 42 grams out by the time it stopped because the water just rushed through because there's not enough resistance in that coffee. Let's drink it. Actually looks quite good though. This machine's a beast. Yeah. Ooh, it's pretty sour. Alright, now let's move on to some correctly ground, correctly dosed coffee, and I'm going to make some mistakes with my hands. So I'm going to show you the mistakes you can make with one or both of these tools. I'm not even using this one at all. And let's go from there. first up, we have 22 grams of coffee ground correctly, and just, it's give or take, it's roughly, I haven't actually dialed it in perfectly. It is exactly halfway between the too fine and the too coarse coffee. So just so you're aware as to where it's sitting on my grinder. This is on the Fia and Zato. It's irrelevant because you probably don't have one. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to tamp unevenly. I'm not going to use my distributor. I'm going to pretend we don't have one, and I'm going to tamp badly using one that I can get a little bit deeper. And if you can see there, it's literally just crooked. I'm exaggerating it, of course, for the sake of the video. So if you can see in there, it's very uneven. It's on a big bloody slope down to that side. Now, this is not going to be great, but if you watch on the close-up cam, you watch the coffee coming out one side, because I've tamped very uneven, and of course the water will always take the easiest path, which is not great. You're only going to get water through half of the coffee. You're going to get a really bad extraction. The water hasn't even touched that side. That's pretty bad. We're going to still go for 40 grams and just sort of see how long it takes. It's bad. So 40 grams in 40 seconds. So it's not a great coffee. It's not going to taste very good at all, because it's literally only gone through, you know, half the coffee, give or take. Oh no, I'm not drinking that. Oh. So strangely enough, the smell straight away is the same as the 18 gram dose. That actually makes sense because I've probably only pulled coffee through about 18 grams of coffee, even though I've dosed 22 grams, if that makes sense. Because all that water just rushed to the side. You understand, you get it. Now I just want to pop this into the video also to show you the importance of a distribution tool. Now this is, to my knowledge, the cheapest distribution tool on the market from Precision. It's $99, so it's not expensive. It's adjustable, it works well. I've used it here since I had this machine. Very, very good little tool. And what it does, in case you're not aware, coffee goes in and generally it's going to sit a little bit uneven. You know, you can sort of use the old method where you just flatten it out with your finger, but that doesn't actually do anything underneath the bed. There are a million videos on the internet that actually use a clear tube or something with coffee, and they pop it in and you just sort of spin it. There's a few different techniques you can use, but that works fine. And it just evens out underneath, so it sort of compresses the coffee slightly. You're not tamping with it. A distribution tool is not a tamper. Stop it. And it just makes sure that the coffee is even before you tamp, so that you get that even extraction, the water comes through, you know, the whole thing at an even rate. There's another tool out there that we're not going to talk about. That, anyway, I'm not going there. Stop it. There are little tools that you can sort of stir the coffee with as well that kind of helps even it out, kind of unclump the coffee as well. You can definitely do that. Depends on how far you want to go and the little 1%ers of coffee you want. So we're trying to keep it as simple as possible at home. And all of these are things that you can change without adding money. Which is cool. So free things are great. A lot of people will think they need a new grinder, they need a new machine, they need a new this and that. Generally, you can fix a lot of the things yourself without buying new equipment, and it's not in my best interest to say that because I sell equipment. I'm being completely honest and truthful with you about it. You can improve your coffee with your hands. There are tools out there that help. For this part of the experiment, I'm going to put in 22 grams of coffee ground correctly, give or take. I'm not going to distribute just because that's kind of assist in the tamping, because I want to tamp softly. I will exaggerate all of this just to kind of give you guys a really in-depth sort of view as to what exactly happens when you tamp too hard, soft, etc. So, moving down here. So 22 grams, tamped softly. It's actually not terrible. As you can see, it's just very uneven because the water has just found the softest, easiest route and just rushed to it. So tamping too soft can actually make your shots run longer, and it's really tricky sometimes to catch it. Hence, we're using this naked portafilter. You can just watch what the coffee is doing rather than just look at the final result, because we've got 40 grams out in 37.5 seconds. We've actually gone longer again because it just kept running through. So we've ended up 42 grams in 37.5 seconds, which is, in my opinion, far too long. And that's not going to taste great because it was just all over the place, as you would have seen on the close-up cam, and you can sort of look at that end residue. It's disgusting. Oh, super bitter, very, that is not pleasant. That's probably the worst coffee so far. Oh, all right, let's move on to the next one. Oh. I'll quickly explain what I meant by tamping too soft can actually make your shots run longer, because that will confuse people, and I understand. But what it's done is it's actually rushed to the easiest spot and then pulled, and it kind of creates mud, which, as you can see, that is not good. I'm not going to use my hand because that's gross, but that is not a good coffee puck by any means. It is literally just mud, which means the water can't get through, even though the coffee was, not compressed hard enough. So keep an eye on your shot times, but watching what comes out of the bottom of that is very, very important also. Last but not least on the bad techniques is going to be 22 grams ground correctly, and I'm going to tamp too hard. I will distribute because I'm pretending we're kind of troubleshooting along the way. So I do tamp quite hard already, so this might be a hard one to show. I have already backflushed. That's just a bad habit. Oh, let's see what happens here. So aiming for 40 grams out again. Yeah, so as you can see, it's just kind of dripping out. Probably not the worst one so far, and as you can see, because I distributed the coffee and it is tamped evenly, it's the best looking shot so far. Little bit of channeling there, as you may have seen that little pocket in that corner. So 32 grams, it's definitely gone over. So 40 grams in 37.5 seconds. So that's definitely the best coffee so far. Like I said, I do tamp quite hard, so it's probably already very close to my recipe. I would normally aim that shot close to a 32-second shot. So other than tamping too hard, that's pretty well bang on. So that's definitely going to be a drinkable coffee for myself. Would I serve it in the cafe? If you got caramel in it, probably. Yeah, so definitely the best coffee so far. I could drink that. It's fine. So that goes to show a lot of the things there, but I'm going to sit down and kind of give you guys a really good rundown on everything I've done and sort of give you some tips and tricks along the way for making coffee at home. I just want to sort of recap the whole process here and sort of give you guys a good rundown on how you can improve your coffee at home with this simple experiment. Now I know it seems like I'm wasting a lot of coffee. No, I'm using a decent amount of coffee to improve my coffee experience at home. This is something I have to do at the cafe every time we get new beans. It's all part of it. This is all a recipe and you can improve it. So 22 grams 2 course, we ended up with 40 grams out in 15.9 seconds. Way too fast because it's 2 course. The water just rushes through. And then we went that way around. We went 22 grams 2 fine, which got a D and F because I wasn't even going to attempt to finish that shot through the machine. It wasn't going to be drinkable. Cut your losses. Then I think it was in this order. So 23.5 grams, which is a high dose. So we got 40 grams out in 48.1 seconds, which is far too long. That's going to be a bit of coffee, bring the dose back down, but maybe not quite as far as 18 grams, which got 42 grams out in 21.4 seconds. So this is all stuff you can track. You can do it exactly the same way. You can do it on pen and paper. It's a really good way to start with what's in the dosing cup and then get the result. Really easy to keep track. So kind of push the limits, find how far is 2 coarse, 2 fine, and then just work your way into the middle until you get your right shot. Then this comes down to your tamping techniques, which is 22 grams ground correctly, but I tamped uneven and crooked, so it was disgusting. So we got 40 grams out in 40 seconds, but as you would have seen on the close-up, it was not a good shot and it was disgusting. That was one of the worst coffees I've had in a long time. And I know that this coffee is actually pretty good because I had this one. Then we went to a soft tamp, which was 22 grams in ground correctly. We got 42 grams out in 37.5 seconds. So we're getting closer to what we need it to be. But you know, you would have seen on the close-up it wasn't right. And this is where that comes in handy, because you know, you'd probably look at that and go, oh, it should taste okay. But that told you otherwise by looking at it. If you're wondering how I noticed, I've actually got a little shot mirror that sits under the portafilter. I think it's just a makeup thing, but mini. And I can actually just look straight down and see what's happening on the bottom side of that. So you don't have to crouch down and look like a weirdo. And then the 22 grams ground correctly with a hard tamp, that was definitely the best coffee of the day, simply because I already tamp quite hard. So 40 grams out in 37.5 seconds. It's still not perfect, but it's pretty close to my recipe. But it just goes to show I did all of these and I can fix all of these. So can you. You can adjust. You do run the same experiment with your coffee. Even if you just grab some cheap beans to do the experiment and then see how good you can make it taste, and then you find your recipe for those beans, translate it over to some quality beans and see if it comes out the same way. I didn't play with temperatures and stuff on the machine. That's going to complicate things. Yes, you can do that on high quality machines. But generally speaking, you don't need a new machine just yet. Perfect this. Once you've hit your limit and you want better coffee, then look at doing new machines, new grinders and stuff like that. Having a good grinder, you can't really run the first half of this experiment because the inconsistency is going to be in the grinder, not necessarily how you've adjusted it. Please keep that in mind. You do need a good quality grinder to run this experiment. But that kind of wraps it up, I believe. If there's anything I've missed, let me know in the comments. If there's anything you would like me to add to this experiment, let me know. I can always chuck another video up. But for now, that'll do. Thank you so much for watching. Please like this video, guys. Decent amount of effort and time put into this one, so I think I deserve it. I even used 2 cameras. Wow. Thanks for watching, guys. Happy brewing. And I'm going to explain why. You right?